Flex Wheeler is one of the biggest legends in bodybuilding history, competing in his prime during the 90s. However, for various reasons, he never fulfilled his destiny of becoming Mr. Olympia, even though some of the biggest legends in the sport, like Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman, admitted the Sultan of Symmetry was more genetically gifted than them. When Flex was at his best, he had to compete against Dorian and Ronnie when they were undeniable forces in the sport. A series of unfortunate events like a car accident, various health issues, and his own inconsistent approach to diet and preparation prevented him from fully realizing his potential. However, we did see him at a few shows close to his 100%, like his rookie year in 1993 at the Arnold Classic and also at the Olympia. Despite his near-perfect physique, it doesn't quite suit the purpose of this video, where I'll be comparing Flex to our new Mr. Olympia, Samson Dauda. So even though those 1993 versions were close to perfection, he was too small back then. For this video, I chose his best form as a mass monster, which I believe was at the 1999 British Grand Prix. This version of Flex is universally known by fans and Flex himself as his best shape ever. So in this video we're going to see Samson Dauda at the 2024 Mr. Olympia against Flex Wheeler at the 1999 British Grand Prix. Front double biceps. Pictures from this show are taken from a lower angle, so Flex legs will look proportionally bigger than his head and upper body, but you guys are educated and know how these things work. The front double is one of Flex's signature poses, where his beautiful proportions are highlighted perfectly. He looks like a taller version of Phil Heath with better abs and a smaller waist, which should tell you enough already. He had nice round muscle bellies, round arms, a great midsection and powerful quads. Now, of course, there will always be that asterisk about his arms later in his career with enhancement oils, which you guys often point out. It's indeed a pity he had to go that route, as he really didn't need to. His arms were always a strong point. But I digress. Even with the enhancements, his arms still look better than Samson's here, who himself might have used something, but you didn't hear that from me. If that's true, let's just admit that Flex did a better job. The fact is that Flex still wins in the arms department. Now, Samson has a wider structure and probably better lats, but because of Flex execution, he kind of hides this aspect. Lower body, Flex had powerful quads and better calves. Overall, I would give this pose to the Sultan of Symmetry. Front lat spread. Even though I believe Samson could do much better in this pose, he still beats Flex here. The main reason is that Flex had narrow clavicles, probably his only real flaw during his prime. If he had been a bit wider, he might have won this pose against Samson, because despite his structure, I believe he has a more than decent look here. He still has a decent taper, nice round arms and pectorals, and a great lower body. However, Samson has the wider structure and better flaring lats, which are essential in this pose. So all in all, Samson Dauda wins this second pose in this comparison. Side chest is next, and this is a tough pose to judge. Yes, we all know it's one of Samson's very best poses, but at this British Grand Prix, Flex presented an incredible level of fullness. Maybe the lighting at that show helped as well, but the truth is, Flex looks very impressive. Although I was never a fan of his side chest execution with his front shoulder pushed forward and his elbow pulled back, I believe he nails this pose here overall. His chest pops, I like his arms more than Samson's, and his shoulders look nice and round, so when it comes to the upper body, I believe there's a strong argument for Flex to win. However, his problem is his lower body. Samson may not have the most peeled side leg ever, but at the 2024 Mr. Olympia, he definitely improved in this area, while for Flex, his glutes and hamstrings have been a downside later in his career. Despite the lighting, we can still see he's just too smooth. He himself claims he never bothered to flex those areas, especially in back poses, but whatever the case, it's not a good look and he loses too much ground here. This is the side chest pose, not the side leg pose indeed, but in my estimation, while I might prefer Flex's upper body slightly, The difference in the lower body is too much, so overall Samson Dauda wins the pose. Back double biceps. First of all, I know Flex Wheeler already lost this pose in the lower body. His glutes and hamstrings look even worse than Andrew Jack's in comparison, though his calves are strong. The angle also doesn't help as his back appears downsized, but regardless, he doesn't look like he can beat Samson here. Samson never had a great back either, but he improved a lot at this show. He has a wider back and better lower lats here. As far as arms, shoulders and the overall back muscle bellies, I think Flex is superior, but for the overall back look, and especially in the lower body, the pose as a whole goes to Samson Dauda. Back lat spread. We only have a screenshot for Flex, but in my opinion it's enough here despite the poor quality. The lower body remains a significant weakness for Flex and his narrow back is exposed in this lat spread pose too. Even though he looks nice and full, he's too narrow and doesn't have the muscle depth of a Phil Heath or Dexter Jackson. Overall, Flex Wheeler loses both back poses to Samson here. Side triceps. This is what we have for Flex Wheeler. He rarely hit a conventional side triceps, which is a pity because he had great triceps, a great chest and a beautiful small waist. His side triceps could have looked great. He hits more of a hoo-ha pose a la Mark's Max Muscle. Like the other side pose, I believe Flex upper body is good and debatable between him and Samson. But again, the Sultan of Symmetry loses the pose in the lower body. Despite his great quads, he's not flexed enough and his hamstrings and glutes remain his biggest flaws. Samson Dauda looks statuesque in this pose, the best I've ever seen him in a side triceps. Samson wins another pose against Flex Wheeler in this matchup. Abs and thighs. This is a pose where almost all of Flex's strengths are showcased, his incredible ab development, small waist and great quads. Although he had a narrower structure, his small waist and execution give him a great taper here too. In my opinion, Flex at the 1999 British Grand Prix had one of the best abs and thighs poses of all time, on par with Sean Roden, Andrew Jack or Hadi Choopan. As for Samson, I believe he improved this pose at the 2024 Mr. Olympia, but he doesn't have the ab development, shape or definition to have a world-class abs and thighs, despite having some of the best thighs in the world today. So overall, this pose goes to Flex Wheeler. Most muscular is next, and this is another close pose between the two. I like Flex arms and shoulders more, but Samson is close in these areas. Flex also has better abs. Flex chest is round, but Samson's is the larger, which is a huge advantage for him here. In the lower body, they both look strong. Flex has incredibly full quads, but Samson's look a bit more polished. Overall, they look quite similar. Flex might have a little more pop, but Samson is wider. This pose could go either way, but since Samson has already won 5 poses in this comparison, and since this pose is really close, I'm going to give it to Flex Wheeler. But again, this is a very close call and the differences might stand out more if they were under the same lighting on the same stage. In conclusion, this physique of Flex is so legendary that the fact the 2024 Mr. Olympia version of Samson might be superior showcases one clear thing. Samson's physique at this year's Olympia is far better than people give him credit for. I believe that, with time, it will become recognized as one of the best Mr. Olympia physiques of all time. Right now, people are still split between him and Hadi Choopan on who should have won the show. Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Did I overlook Flex Wheeler in this comparison? Do you think that under certain angles Flex could have won those side poses where he was closer to Samson? Because from the back, I don't think there should be any debates, nor for the front lat spread. Also like this video for the algorithm, and subscribe so you won't miss any future videos. See you next time, guys.